You okay, guys?
Yeah.
You okay? You doing the whole tour?
Yeah, the 1 hour 10 minutes, right?
If you say so. If you say so. Yeah, it's 1 hour 10 minutes. That's to finish.
You sound exhausted.
Sorry?
You sound exhausted.
Nah. I didn't know when I started doing. I used to drive these things and that, you know. I started doing that. I didn't know even the talking. It just take about 80, you know. At the end of the day, I go home, you know. Shut up, you know. Did you watch your tennis till today, Anise? You watch your tennis?
I was going to, yes.
Do you know who won it?
Huh?
Do you know who won?
Say again?
Do you know who won the tournament?
No, do you want me to check?
No, I was going to tell you.
Oh, right. Go on.
Sinner, the young Italian guy.
Sinner, yeah.
He beat him. He was two sets down, come back, won 3
Really?
sets. The guy played amazing.
No, he's a good player. I think he's going to have a great year.
Yeah, he's an excellent player.
Apparently he only started playing at 10 at 12. Can you believe it?
You did, he did.
No, he did.
Yeah.
12.
That's
very late.
That's
very
quite
late.
quite a late start for for that level, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Andy Murray got a racket playing his hand at 4-year-old or something, you know.
Yeah.
Can't stand Andy Murray.
Okay.
Oh, I'm an Nadal fan. I love him. Yeah, yes. He's always shouting, balling, smashing out. Get away, yeah. I like Nadal.
Nadal.
I watch, if he's not in the tournament, I tend not to bother about watching it. But I watched Sinner. I saw him play Djokovic and that. He annihilated Djokovic. But I'm glad he did. The next time somebody did. Well, good afternoon, everybody. Sorry, did I give you a fright there, Newcastle? You jumped there, I saw that. Aye. Sorry about that. Did I wake you up, eh? Okay. Right, my name's John. I'm going to be the guide for the next 1 hour and 10 minutes approximately. Our driver today, we're very, very fortunate. We've got Alex driving the bus for us today. Alex, one of the best drivers in the company, and you're in very safe hands, so do relax, sit back, relax, and enjoy your tour, guys. It'll take approximately 1 hour and 10 minutes, start to finish. There are 14 stops all the way around. We've just left number 1, of course. If you want off at any of the stops, just up here, just give me a shout or attract my attention. I'll get Alex to pull in the bus at this stop for you. Downstairs, just press the red buttons that you can see on the poles in there. And again, Alex will do the business. He will stop at the bus stop for you. So, that's out the way. We can start the tour proper now. We are sitting on Waterloo Place, named after, of course, the Battle of Waterloo. Straight ahead of us, just the Waterloo connection there. You see the statue of a man on a horse there, that's the Duke of Wellington, sitting on his horse, Copenhagen, directing his troops at the Battle of Waterloo. Beautiful statue. I love the horse's face, it is absolutely gorgeous. Beautiful statue. Sculpted by a man called Sir John Steele. And on your left hand side there, that building there is the 5-star Balmoral Hotel, built in 1902. Originally called the NB or North British Hotel, built by the North British Railway Company. They came up with this idea of building luxury hotels right beside their main stations. And down in the valley there is Edinburgh's Waverley Station. That's the second largest station in the UK. It was built, as I said, in 1902 as the North British Hotel. It was bought over by the Rocco Forte Group in 2000, and a lot of money was spent on it, and it was refurbished, and it was renamed the Balmoral Hotel. And Sir Sean Connery himself, he conducted the opening ceremony of that building. On suite number 552 on the 5th floor of that hotel, J.K. Rowling, she wrote the final chapters of the Harry Potter saga. That was Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows. Any Harry Potter fans on the bus? Harry Potter? No? Nobody? You? No, are you on for the whole tour? Yeah, that's good. I can show you Hogwarts School then on the tour, and I'll show you Diagon Alley as well. Okay. Right, so right now we're on Princess Street, Edinburgh's main. I could say main shopping street, but not anymore. It used to be at one time, but as you can see over the years, it's went gradually downhill. So coming up on your left-hand side, this large monument here. This is the Walter Scott Monument. At the base of the monument, you'll see a statue there, also sculpted by Sir John Steele, and that statue is of Sir Walter Scott himself. Carved out of solid block of Italian Carrara marble. That's it right there. That monument is 200 feet 6 inches tall. There are 287 steps inside that monument. If you wish, you can climb right up to the very top. It's over 4 stages. It used to be the tallest in the world to a writer till we discovered one in Havana, Cuba, to a man called Jose Marti. That's 350 feet tall. The two buildings on your left here, they're both art galleries. The one at the back, the National Gallery, built in 1859, and the Greek Doric style. And the one at the front here, the Royal Scottish Academy, 1826, built in the Greek Doric style. Both these buildings were designed by a man called William Henry Playfair. Basically, if you see something Greek here in Edinburgh, a Greek building I'm talking about, it's more than likely was designed by that man, William Henry Playfair. These buildings have helped to give Edinburgh one of its nicknames, and that nickname was the Athens of the North. We've got another nickname here in Edinburgh, it's not quite as pleasant as that one, Aldorike, or Old Smelly. The way that came about, if you look down into your left here, you see some lovely gardens down there, Princess Street Gardens West. Back in the 1400s, we deliberately flooded that area as part of our defensive system. We built the Flodden Wall, Telford Wall and King's Wall, and we flooded that area down there as part of our defences against the English. Yeah, you know who you are. You know who you are. Anyway, as I said, we deliberately flooded this area here. Unfortunately, it was called the Norloch, by the way, once they built it. Unfortunately, it became a dumping ground. Anything that was not required, throw it in the Norloch. Anything. Bodies, human, animals, anything was just thrown in the Norloch and became a horrible, smelly place. All Greeky, that's where that name came from. Also, this was a place where we used to dunk our witches. A woman could be suspected of being a witch on 2 occasions. Sitting somewhere talking to herself, or if she owned a cat. If she owned a cat, she could be a witch. But we then bring her up to the Norloch to face what we call the test of water. Her right thumb would be tied to her big left toe, and we'd throw her in. If she floated, she was being kept up by supernatural forces, she was a witch. We would then take her up to a lawn market and bury her alive. If she sank, then she was innocent.
It's 5 minutes there, but don't know how many minutes I might have walked past. Hello. It's quite good. Good of whoever did those. Well done. Just planted some tracks for us. Yippee! You see how easy it is just to mount and move. Whoa, well done. Yeah, somebody broke off. Wonder which equipment they used to do that. Yeah, because this is quite a high point going down. So yeah, it is, and the slope is quite intense, so it's good. All right, so this is what it looks like. The sun is so that is where we would like to go, down there. Well, I wouldn't say that we have come late. There is no sun today, unlike yesterday. Yeah, where did the sun go? This is afternoon time. But I don't know, maybe if you come in early in the morning, but still you would be putting yourself at risk coming in the morning.
This is stop number 2 if anybody wants off. You've had enough already? Yes, she was innocent. She was dead, but she was innocent. Which is a very, very fair system. People coming down here, please, Alec, Coatbridge, they're coming down. Okay, see you later, guys. Okay? Take care, bye-bye. See you later on. So as I say, it's a very, very fair system going by Edinburgh standards back in those days. You ladies will be glad to know the Witchcraft Act was repealed in 1732. So you can sit and talk to yourself, or you can own a cat, and you're quite safe up here in Edinburgh. Right now we're actually on Frederick Street, part of Edinburgh's New Town. When I call it the New Town, it's new compared to the Old Town. It's still 250 years old. The New Town of Edinburgh is still 250 years old, but it is the New Town as far as we're concerned. Across here on your right hand side, just past the Costco shop, you see the pinky coloured shop there, the doorway and the window? That's a Chihuahua cafe. If you like Chihuahua dogs, you can go in there and sit and stroke a Chihuahua dog and get a cup of coffee. But as I've already told you, we're very, very fair in Edinburgh. You like cats? I can show you a cat's cafe in a little while as well. So we are now going up Frederick Street. This is named after George III's eldest son, Prince Frederick. You'll see in the middle of George Street there, you'll see a large statue. That statue is of William Pitt the Younger, designed by Francis Chantry, that statue there. William Pitt the Younger, he's got a claim to fame. The youngest ever Prime Minister of Great Britain. How old are you, young man?
22.
22. That man there was 2 years older than you and he was Prime Minister of Great Britain. Can you believe that?
That's still not 2 years.
24 years of age, Prime Minister of this country. You can only imagine, what you'd make of it to this day. Couldn't be any worse, let's be honest, it couldn't be any worse. Anyway, he's also responsible for a couple of things, not quite so popular. One was called the window tax. Basically, the more windows you had in the house, the more tax you paid in that building. It was known as as daylight robbery. If you ever look at some of these buildings here, on that side you can actually see where windows were, and they've actually been bricked up. And there's more obvious examples as you go along George Street. And that was to stop paying the window tax, or to stop paying as much window tax. But he also introduced another tax, very popular, income tax. Ours apparently to pay for the Napoleonic Wars. Now they must have been the most expensive wars in history, because we're still paying income tax to this day. Now that was William Pitt the Younger. He was actually Prime Minister on two occasions. 1783 to 1801, and again from 1804 to 1806. So we're about to leave Frederick Street. We're going to go along Queen Street. We're on a slight detour because there's roadworks in George Street, but basically we're not going to stop number 3. That's the only difference. We're not going to stop number 3. We can let you off somewhere as an alternative if you need, but it's a very, very minor alteration. We're now on Queen Street. When the new town was built in 1767, Queen Street and Princess Street were mirror images of each other. Private gardens, private housing. Now you can see there's still private gardens and private housing, mostly here, a couple of shops, but mostly private on that side. Princess Street, public gardens and shops. But here, still private gardens. Across there, there's our private gardens. You can access these gardens, but you need a couple of things first. You need a key to get through one of the gates. That's the easy part. The second part, not quite as easy. You have to buy property. You have to own a house here. Now, no offence meant, but if you have to ask the price of a house here, forget it. You can't afford it. Housing here in Edinburgh is extortionate. It's very, very expensive here in Edinburgh. Just as you pass, I know we're just past it, but on the other side of the gardens there was Heriot Row. And in Heriot Row, a man stayed there. His name was Robert Louis Stevenson. He stayed there in the younger part of his life. He was born in Howard Place in Cannon Mills here in Edinburgh, and then he stayed there in Heriot Row. Of course, he's author of Robert Louis Stevenson. He eventually moved to Samoa, where he died, unfortunately, of course, there. But he moved there basically for his health, because of the weather here in Edinburgh, or in Scotland in general. So we're now on North Charlotte Street. We're about to come up to Charlotte Square. Charlotte Square is known as the jewel in the crown of Georgian Edinburgh. Now you go up here, have a look at the houses. Georgian people love two things: money, and they love showing off their money, but they also love symmetry. They love everything to look the same. Now look at these houses. Every house is exactly the same specification. All designed by a man called Robert Adam. He designed all these houses you're looking at right now.
How much?
How much? One of those houses sold a few years back for about 8.5. Very expensive. You didn't buy it, did you?
Nah.
Yeah, they're very, very, very expensive here. But the thing is, you never see anything up for sale here. You hardly ever see a building up for sale here. But if you have a look at, as I say, look at the houses here, they're all the same. The exact same specification. You look at the number of chimneys up in the roof. There's a reason I mentioned the chimneys, just have a look at them just now. The blue door there, number 14. Alexander Graham Bell, the man that is credited with inventing the telephone, he was born in that building there, the 3rd of March, 1847. Is there any Canadians on the bus? Canadians? No? That's a pity, because we usually have a heated discussion with Canadians. If they try and claim Alexander Graham Bell as their own. Complete nonsense, of course. I've just shown you where he was born. This building here on your left, St John's Church, 1816 to 1818. This is an Episcopal church, it's a listed building. Would you believe that that building there was designed by a 25-year-old? His name was William Byrne, and he designed that building right there. 25-year-old designed that. 3 years older than you. Across here on your right-hand side there, the Waldorf Astoria Caledonian Hotel, Edinburgh. If you live here, it's the Cali Hotel. Absolutely wonderful place. I love that place. My first job when I left school, I was a page boy in that building there. It was wonderful to work in there. Absolutely wonderful. Anyway, that was built in 1903, 1 year after the Balmoral Hotel, by the Caledonian Railway Company at this time. They actually went out of business in 1965. They closed the railway station down on the other side. They just expanded some of the hotel there, and there's a guest car park there as well, around the other side. People ask us a lot of times, why are so many of the buildings so dirty looking? That's why I mentioned all those chimneys a minute ago. All these chimneys, I mean, going back to the 1600s, 1700s, 1800s and that, they burnt coal fires, all year long, no central heating. Coal fires produce black smoke. Black smoke discolours the buildings. Also just down there, there's a railway line. The old steam engines, the black smoke again, discolours the building there. That building is built from what's called Dumfriesshire sandstone. Very, very soft sandstone, difficult to clean. They try and clean it, they end up damaging it. So at the end of the day, they just don't try anymore. The Scott Monument is exactly the same, built of Dinny sandstone from East Lothian. It's exactly the same. If you go and have a look at it, look at the back of the building, the Scott Monument towards the railway line, you'll see where they've tried to clean it. And they just damage it, so eventually they just don't bother trying it anymore. But don't be put off by the colour of the building. Inside, absolutely beautiful building, beautiful. On your left hand side here, this is Cuthbert's Churchyard, the oldest religious site here in Edinburgh. That goes back to the 7th century, originally called Westkirk, a Catholic church, now Church of Scotland of course. Take a visit in that building there, you will see a stained glass windows from Tiffany's of New York depicting David on his way to fight the Philistine giant Goliath. Agatha Christie actually got married in that church there. She'd been married in England, she couldn't get married a second time, so she decided to come up here and get married. She actually eloped with the man she was marrying, who called Max Malawan. Bit of a scandal, he was 14 years her junior. Not the done thing back in those days. They eloped up here, two complete strangers, acted as their witnesses, who didn't know anybody here. And they got married, would you believe, 9/11, 1930. 11th of September 1930, they got married in that church there. And as I say, two complete strangers acted as their witnesses. After the wedding, friends and family found out about this, horrified. She's marrying this guy, 14 years young, what's she thinking of? So they caught up with her and asked her, so what are you doing? You're marrying this guy, 14 years younger than you. What's going on? And she says, don't worry. He's an archaeologist. The older I get, the more interested in me he's going to become. And that's from Agatha Christie herself, not me, that's Agatha Christie. These buildings here, part of Edinburgh's financial district. These buildings here. The financial district at one time was all based in St Andrew Square, George Street. Over the years, they've moved out further from the centre of town. There's a purposely built part out near the airport. That's of our financial district. Now on our left-hand side, that's some theatres there. You've got the Traverse in the corner there. Edinburgh's main concert hall here, the Usher Hall. 2,200 people can be accommodated in that hall. Acoustics in there are said to be the best in Europe. Absolutely stunning building inside, stunning. Until you see the glass bit on the outside, it's horrible. Then you've got the Lyceum Theatre along the side there. That's just your normal theatre, plays and pantomimes and that sort of stuff there. But that building there, absolutely, as I say, it's wonderful inside. The acoustics terrific. It's not the largest theatre here in Edinburgh. That's our concert hall, but we do have a theatre, it's called the Playhouse. It used to be a cinema. We converted it to a theatre, and seat-wise, it is the largest theatre in the UK. 3,000 people can be accommodated in the Playhouse Theatre. While we're sitting here, we don't always get a chance, but look across here, you'll see a little statue across here of a woman with a wee child hanging onto her skirt tails. That is called Woman Child. And that was sculpted by a lady called Anne Davison. She came from Dundee here in Scotland. And that is said to that is there to represent the apartheid movement in South Africa. And that statue was actually unveiled when Nelson Mandela was still in jail. I think it was 86. I think it was 86 if I remember my dates. Yeah, we mentioned theatres a minute ago. I like talking about this cinema. It's not a theatre, I know. It's now the Odeon Cinema. Back in the 1960s, yeah, I'm that old, yeah. What do you think? Yeah, no. Back in the 1960s, that used to be called the ABC Lothian Road, originally. Anyway, it used to be a one-screen cinema. Now it's a multiplex cinema. It used to be a one-screen cinema. And that's where, back in those days, we held things called pop concerts. You call them gigs nowadays, we call them pop concerts. In April 1964, the biggest group in the world, you know what I'm talking about? The Beatles, absolutely. In April 1964, the biggest group in the world played a concert in that building there. They'd already been in Scotland before, but small stuff, popping the bill, you know, and support act and things like that. But once they made the big time, 1963, 64, Beatlemania, a wonderful time, they played in that concert in that cinema there, that venue. That was back in the days, of course, before Ticketmaster and all that sort of stuff. And I still remember, in my head, I can remember the queues of people round there buying tickets to go and see the Beatles. And when you went to see, you saw them, you never heard them for the screaming. It was absolutely, I never went, I was a Rolling Stones fan, so I never went to a Beatles concert. I wish I never had, but it was a wonderful memory when the Beatles came to Edinburgh. It was just pandemonium, absolute pandemonium. Anyway, we're in Fountain Bridge area here. 1930, a man was born here. You may have heard of him. He was called Sean Connery. He was born in 1930 here in Fountain. Well, there's about 400 yards back from where this bus is right now, down towards Morrison Street there. He was born here in 1930. When Sean left school, he got a job as a milkman, delivering milk by horse and cart. Very, very common here in the UK up until about the late 60s. Anyway, when he finished doing that, he joined the Royal Navy. He was medically discharged from the Royal Navy because he suffered from stomach ulcers. He came back to the UK, got involved with acting, and the rest, as they say, is pure history. He was born in 1930. He was given the freedom of Edinburgh City in 1991, honoured by Her Majesty in 2000, and unfortunately Sean passed away in October 2020. But he's hugely remembered still here in Edinburgh as a favoured son of the city. Now we're approaching the Grass Market. Earlier on I mentioned a Chihuahua Cafe, and I promise you a Cat's Cafe. Coming up shortly you'll see a blue building, blue face building there, and that is Mason de Mogi, and that is a Cat's Cafe right there. Now in there you can go and sit and stroke a cat and get yourself a cup of coffee. It's been a long day, and get yourself a cup of coffee. It does get rather busy, you've got to book it online. So we're in the Grass Market now. Look up to your left here, you get a beautiful view of Edinburgh Castle. I think that's the best view. The Half Moon Battery. Look above the Half Moon Battery, you'll see some gold painting on some of the windows up there, if you've got good eyesight. And that was in there, in those rooms in 1566, Mary Queen of Scots, she gave birth to her son, James I of Scotland, James VI of England. So we've arrived at the stop. This is the stop for the Grass Market. Emily, you know, somebody coming down please, Alec. They've had enough of Intercrack, that's it.
Just finished now the tour, we've got the second half there.
Okay, pal, you take care, eh? Cheers now.
Bye-bye.
So we're in the Grass Market just now. This used to be called Newbiggin under the castle. Simply meant new buildings, new housing below the castle. They changed the name in 1635 to the Grass Market. Well, I have no idea why, because they did not sell grass here. Not the kind you could smoke or the kind you could eat. They didn't sell grass here. They sold farm animals here. Anything that ate grass was sold here in the Grass Market. It was from 1477 when James III granted a charter, a market was held here on a weekly basis right up until 1911. If you happen to be here on a Saturday morning, there is a small market here. Sell like ornaments, bric-a-brac and records, and that's nothing to do with meat or anything like that. And it's here on a Saturday morning. If it's a nice day, it's a nice place to spend a couple of hours doing that. This is also a place that is very popular with hen parties and stag nights, you know. People come across here to celebrate or commiserate their last few days of freedom before they sign on that dotted line and become happily married like the rest of us. Are you still married? Are you getting married? No. Did you hear that? Did you hear that? He said no.
After we'll be hearing what you just said.
Good, oh, he's good, eh? He's good. Hello guys, how are we doing?
We're going good. Why is this called the Grass Market?
Now, if you'd been here on the beginning of the tour, sir, you would now know that. Would you like me to tell you? The reason it's called the Grass Market has nothing to do with grass. What they sold here was anything that ate grass. Farm animals were sold here. on a weekly basis from 1477 up until 1911. It used to be called Newbigger under the castle. They changed it in 1635 to the grass market because anything that ate grass was sold here, and that was the reason for that. Now, young lady, I told you I would show you Diagon Alley. Okay, just coming up soon on your left-hand side, it's actually Victoria Street, but people say, Potterheads, they all say that that is Diagon Alley. I've never seen a Harry Potter book or film. Does it look like it?
Yeah.
There you go. Diagon Alley out of the Harry Potter books. Maybe. J.K. Rowling, we'll talk about her in a minute, but she'll neither confirm nor deny this. This area here has got 3 names. Very confusing. It's called Little Ireland. They say Little Ireland, Cowgate Head or Cowgate. Little Ireland because back after the Irish potato famines, a lot of Irish people immigrated across, well I say immigrated, they came across to Scotland here and they settled in this area that we're in just now. This is Candlemaker Row. No prize for guessing what they made here. They made, yeah, shoes, that's right, yeah. They made candles here from an animal fat called tallow and it stunk to the high heavens. Greyfriars Kirkyard across here on your right hand side. And coming up on the left, a great pub if you like your football and sports and that, the Oz Bar. Terrific place to go in and watch football or rugby or anything, especially when Australia are playing, of course. A wonderful pub. So this area, as I said, is called Greyfriars. You just saw the kirkyard there. The word Greyfriars is synonymous with a small animal. You know what I'm talking about? You got it. Greyfriars Bobby. You're going to see a statue in a minute. Right there. See that wee statue?
Yeah.
That is the most photographed statue in Scotland. That statue right there. That's Greyfriars Bobby. Look at his nose. See his nose? See how it's gold? You know why that is? That's because of students. Any students on the bus?
Just graduated.
Oh, that's because I hate students. They started the habit of rubbing that dog's nose for luck. And as you can see, they're actually damaging the statue. So if you go and have a look at the statue, get your photo taken, please don't touch his nose because you're actually damaging the statue. A man comes in with a wee tin of paint every so often and keeps painting it. Yeah? My cure for that, they should electrocute it. They should, charge it. Touch it and you get a shock. 35,000 volts should do it. Straight ahead of you, that building with the turrets, the first purposely built student union in the world, that building there, 1889. This building here, 1897. This building here, 1889, that's the graduation hall of Edinburgh University. And the old medical school, 1726. It's not the medical school anymore. They've actually closed that down and moved medical school to a place called Little France on the southeast side of Edinburgh. And the Royal Infirmary, our old hospital, has also moved down there as well. Now this is the old Royal Infirmary building coming up shortly. Well, we stop, you don't always get stopped here. That pub across here. Listen guys, you want to go for a drink tonight? Great place to go for a drink. Fish and chips in there are wonderful. But beware, because when you're in there, no doubt she'll phone you. Where are you? Your tea's on the table. How long are you going to be? You just say, listen guy, listen, I'll be home as quick as I can, darling, because I'm at the doctor's. Been a long day. There you are, this is the old Royal Infirmary building. Beautiful building, apart from that glass is stuck in it, it looks horrible. But that is the old Dutch Baroque style building. Stunning, stunning building. Inside, I remember it as a hospital, I remember being in there, my sister, not me. But anyway, it's a beautiful place inside. That is now going to be part of Edinburgh University, the Futures Institute, where they're going to study artificial intelligence. The Harry Potter fans are on the bus. Hogwarts School. Yes or no?
Kind of.
Maybe? Possible?
Like possible.
Yeah. That's what most people say. It's usually 50-50. Now J.K. Rowling, she will neither confirm nor deny this. She won't say it, I don't know, she won't say anything. You know, she still lives here in Edinburgh. Still lives here. Very, very posh part of Edinburgh, she can afford it. But that is actually George Heriot's school. George Heriot's school, built by George Heriot, 1628, for fatherless bairns or orphans. But anyway, as I say, J.K. Rowling should neither confirm nor deny it. But there are a couple of things that might sway your thinking. 2 of her children were educated in that school, okay? Also, if you're still on the bus at Georgia Ford Bridge, I'll show you a cafe called the Elephant House Cafe. Have you heard of it? No?
Yeah.
Alright. That they claim to be the birthplace of Harry Potter. They say J.K. Rowling sat in their building and wrote the books. If she did, she looked directly into that school. She would also look directly into Greyfriars Kirkyard. If you've got time, take a wander through Greyfriars Kirkyard, look at the headstones. And on 8 of them are names that appear in the Harry Potter books. Now J.K. Rowling, she says, what a coincidence that is. 8 of them. You just make up your own mind, you know. There's a stop coming up shortly here if you want to get off and go back and have a look at that school. As I said, it's actually called George Heriot School. It was built in 1628 by George Heriot, also known as Jingling Geordie. Jingling because he used to be a very rich man. He was a silversmith. He's rumoured to have been an unofficial moneylender to the royal family of the day. But he was very rich and he had a habit of carrying a lot of loose change in his pockets, so you could hear him jingling before you even saw him. So he built the school. To start off its life, it was actually a hospital for Oliver Cromwell's troops that had been injured at the Battle of Dunbar in 1650. They were treated in that building there. But about 6 years after that, it became the school that it is today for fatherless bairns, orphans. And even up till this day, there's still a bursary system that is in operation. Up to 100 orphans a year can be taken into that school for a free education. Up ahead in the right-hand side, just as we've talked here, there we go. That building there, isn't that beautiful, isn't it? That building in front of us there. That's Argyle House, an example of 1960s brutalist architecture. Yeah, you're right. Brutal is the word that describes it. That is one horrible, ugly eyesore of a building. You may think I don't like that building, and you're absolutely correct. Absolutely.
When you look around.
Unfortunately, it's what we call a listed building. We've got 4,500 listed buildings in Edinburgh. That's one of them. And we can't knock it down. It can't be touched. And people say to us, why is it a listed building and it's so ugly? It's because it's an example of a certain type of architecture. It's got to be preserved. The unfortunate thing is, if you're in St Andrews Square, there's a small example there, there's an office there of the same kind of structure. And it's a lot smaller and it fits in beside other offices. And it looks great there, it looks fine. But that thing there is just horrible. Apart from anything else, you'd get a lovely view of the castle if it wasn't there, you know. But I'm afraid we're stuck with it, so there's not a lot we can do. Well, we're here. If you look straight ahead, can you see it? Right ahead of us here, you see a statue on top of that building there? Yeah, you see the statue? And when we've got kids in the bus, we try and kid them on. We tell them that's Batman looking down over Gotham City. And a few of them believe that. But as you get closer and closer to it, you will see it's actually a statue of a very young, very slim, and that's not what you see often about a very slim Queen Victoria up there on the top of that building. That's the Queen's Institute for Nursing here in Scotland. Shortly coming up on your left-hand side, a car park. What's he going to say about a car park? Yeah? Okay, any on the bus seen the film Trainspotting? Trainspotting? Some of the scenes of Trainspotting were actually filmed in that multi-storey car park down there. On a Saturday morning, if you're here on Saturday, as well as going to the market down in the Grass Market, if you come up here, there's a farmer's market every Saturday morning in there, on top of the multi-storey car park there. Castle Rock there on your left-hand side, 350 million year old volcano. We're going up Johnson Terrace now, the back of that building, that's the back of Edinburgh's Art College. And the George Heriot School, aka Hogwarts. You've seen the front of the building now. What we saw before was the rear of the building, and that is the front we're looking at now. And on your left here, this is the Castle Esplanade. I don't know if any have been here in August or coming back and plan coming back, but here in August, if you come up here, it's all clear up there.
Stadium.
Come back in August, you will see a large, huge structure up there, 9,000 seats, 9,000 seats, temporary building for Edinburgh Military Tattoo, which happens every August, 3 weeks in August. Started in 1950, with the exception of the 2 years of COVID when everything was cancelled worldwide, a show has never been cancelled with the Edinburgh Military Tattoo. Starts at 9 o'clock at night. Alec will tell you, we've sat through a few tattoos, it doesn't matter what the weather is, the show goes on. It's a wonderful display of marching pipes and drums and bagpipes and dancers and all that sort of stuff. So if you're back here in August, try and get yourself a couple of tickets for the tattoo. And we're just about to pull into the stop at the Lawn Market here. Unfortunately, the castle's been closed today. They're not sure about tomorrow because of the high winds. It's a wee bit risky, the castle, with the high winds and that, so we're not sure. So if you've got tickets for today, just check what's happening tomorrow and they'll reimburse you or refund you or whatever, or honour your ticket at a later date. So we're pulling into this bus stop here. It's a wee bit bumpy, as you can see. The ghost bus, if you've got an hour of the night, you should go on the ghost bus tour. I used to drive them. I don't get any for telling you that, but I mean, they're really good. Very, very good. If it goes on the later one when it starts, then really good.
Thank you very much.
Okay, see you later, guys. See you away. Okay, bye bye.
Is that where they set up?
Yeah, they start and then they finish there, yeah. Last an hour. See you, Newcastle.
Thank you.
Okay, cheers, take care.
Thank you.
Ta-ra now. Ta-ra. Aye, it's really good. Are you recording the whole tour?
Yeah.
Is my voice on it?
Yeah.
Do you know I charge a fee for that?
How much?
Are we close to the Scotch whiskey experience?
Yeah, it's just up, back up there behind us.
Oh, come
Not the Johnny Walker one, the Scotch whiskey.
Yeah.
Yeah, right, just
Okay.
up towards the castle there, young man.
Thank you.
About £200.
200, that's cheap.
Hiya, but that's £200 per every 10 minutes. Hey guys, you alright guys? Where are you guys from? Did I have you before? Oh, you drew the short straw, eh? Yeah, and how unlucky are you? So right now, hello. Yeah, right now we're sitting on the Lawn Market, which is part of the Royal Mile of Edinburgh here. The Royal Mile stretches from the castle all the way down to the Palace of Holyrood House. Now people ask us, why is it called a Royal Mile? Well, it starts off at the palace down at the bottom, at the foot of the mile here, and that is a royal residence. Even to this day, when the royal family are up in Scotland on official business, they stay in Holyrood Palace. If they're on a holiday, like holiday time, privately, they stay up at Balmoral Castle up in Deeside. But so the palace is a royal residence at this day, and the the castle was a royal residence when Mary Queen of Scots gave birth to her son in 1566. So that connection there is the royal connection. That's what makes this the Royal Mile. From the castle to the palace, it's actually longer than a mile. It's a Scottish mile. Because as you know up here in Scotland, we do everything bigger and better than everywhere else. And it's actually longer than a mile. It's 1 mile and 1/8 long, or 9 furlongs if you're talking that term. There are 5 streets form the Royal Mile. We've got a habit here in Edinburgh of using more than one name for any street. You saw earlier on, I showed you Little Ireland, Cowgate Head and Cowgate, all the same area, but that was 3 names. We've got 5 names here. Castle Hill is behind us here, that's where the castle sits. Self-explanatory, the castle sitting on a hill. Lawn Market here. Then we've got the High Street in 2 sections. We don't go into the first one because it's pedestrianised further down. But we do join it on the second section of the High Street. Then we've got the Canning Gate, and then eventually we have Abbey Strand, and that sits right outside Holyrood Palace itself. And I'll point out to you when we get there. That is commonly recognised as the shortest street in Edinburgh. It's tiny, a tiny wee street here in Edinburgh. But right now, as I said, we're sitting on the Lawn Market. As we're sitting here, we can look ahead to your sort of right there, and that building there is the French Institute. That building there. What? That building there?
Okay, I thought it was the St. Giles Cathedral.
Oh, yes, sir. You're jumping the gun a wee bit, sir.
Okay, sorry.
Okay, but that building there, the sandstone coloured building, just for clarification here, that is the French Institute. And in there's a beautiful French bistro. The building behind it, the churchy looking building, is the High Kirk of Edinburgh, or the High Kirk of St. Giles, if you like. Now, just to clarify a point here, that does get referred to on maps and in books as St. Giles Cathedral. Now, technically, that's incorrect, because that is a Church of Scotland building. And the Church of Scotland, hold on, I'm boring this young man from Manchester, from London. Are you okay there?
Yeah, it's
Just,
fine.
you tired? Yeah, it's been a long day, is it?
You're energising me though.
22-year-old, eh? It's been a long day. Anyway, that building there, I'm sorry, that building, it's the High Kirk of St. Giles, or the High Kirk of Edinburgh. We do not have bishops in the Church of Scotland. A cathedral is the seat of a bishop. No bishop, no cathedral. Simple as that. But I do take the point, it does get called, people still call it that, so I can't argue about that one. But we do have a couple of cathedrals here in Edinburgh, just to confuse the issue. Even more confusingly, they're both called St. Mary's. One is Catholic, one is Episcopal. And they're a couple of miles apart from each other. So there's no way you could wander into the wrong one. But that is the High Kirk of Edinburgh, or the High Kirk of St. Giles. That's the building there where, when the Queen died, a keep going to see her last year, but now it's the year before that, September 22. She died in Balmoral. She was brought down to Holyrood Palace, and then she was taken up here to Lion State for a couple of days so the people of Edinburgh and Scotland could pay their respects to her. And she lay in that building there. The spire of that building is meant to be a copy of the Scottish Crown. We have our own Scottish Crown jewels. We don't call them the Scottish Crown jewels, we call them the Honours of Scotland. And they're kept under lock and key up in Edinburgh Castle. And that the spire of that church is said to be a copy of the crown of the Honours of Scotland, or the Scottish Crown jewels. Another side of the road, just past the traffic here on your left hand side, you'll see a large building there, sandstone coloured building. You see a statue in front of it of a man sitting there. That is David Hume, the philosopher, part of the Enlightenment here in Scotland. He's a philosopher and a very, very clever man. If you have a look at his toe, his big toe on his foot, I know it's quite hard to see from here. You can see that toe. Can you see his toe?
Yeah, I can see it.
What colour is it?
Green.
It's gold. And you know why that is?
It's green.
That's right, it's the Greyfriars Bobby thing. People rub that toe for luck. Now, the strange thing is that building that he's sitting in front of is the highest court here in Edinburgh. So people rub that toe when they're going into that building. Now, if they're going into that building, they don't need good luck. They need a good lawyer, because that is the high court here in Edinburgh. If you're going in there on trial, you're in a bit of bother, you know. But that's why it's David Hume. That's why they rub his toe for a wee bit of luck. The guy down there with the birds of prey down there, you can get your photo taken with him. He's got a big eagle as well, and I think it's an owl he's got there. He's got a big eagle as well. He stands there all day long getting photos taken of it. With him in for a fee, of course, for a fee. Makes a lot of money, I tell you. I used to work in the Ghostbusters, we used to watch him. We used to really coin it in, he really did. Yeah, good luck to him, you know. Stands there all day in this weather. He deserved it. So we're about to go on to George IV Bridge. It's on our right hand side there. George IV Bridge, obviously named after George IV. It's to commemorate his visit to Scotland in 1822. The bridge didn't actually open until 1832. Didn't take us 10 years to build it. We're not that bad. We're slow, but we're not that bad. They didn't start building it until about 1829. I don't know why, but that's when they started building it. And it took 3 years, and eventually it was opened, and, as I say, to commemorate his visit here to Edinburgh then. Once you go around the corner, there's another building, past this building here, there's another building I want to point out. We don't always get time to talk about it, but I can mention it now. And it's the National Library of Scotland. Okay, a library, but it's not a lending one, it's a reference library. And to me, the reason what makes it very important is inside that library, and down the vaults, it's not for public display, nobody ever gets to see it. My very good friend works in there, and he doesn't get to see it. It's the last letter ever written by Mary Queen of Scots. She wrote it to her ex-brother-in-law, the Dauphin of France's brother. She wrote it to him 6 hours before her execution in 1857. How can you sit and write a letter when you know you're going to get your head chopped off in 6 hours? I do not know. But it's in, not that building there, but it's right in that building there. There is a copy of it in English and French on display, a copy of it, but the real one is in that building there, and you just don't get to see it. It's not for public display at all. I think the last sort of ordinary, well, not ordinary, but the last person that got to see it, there was a film Mary Queen of Scots made about 4 or 5 years ago, maybe 3 or 4 years or something like that. The lady who played Mary Queen of Scots, I can't remember her name, she actually got to see that letter for, you know, got special dispensation to see the letter. And I think apart from that, nobody else sees it. Look to your left and your right now. I mentioned we're on a bridge here. It shows you we have 6 bridges in Edinburgh, but no water underneath. When you go across a bridge in Edinburgh, you're going across another street. That building there, that's the Elephant Cafe, the so-called home of, birthplace of Harry Potter. If she sat in that building, she was looking direct onto that school and also onto that graveyard where all those names appear on the headstones. Another look at Greyfriars Bobby. Thankfully nobody's touched his nose at this point. We are now in Chambers Street, named after William Chambers. That's the statue there coming up, that is William Chambers. There's a stop here if anybody wants off for the museum. But that's the statue there of William Chambers. He was Lord Provost of Edinburgh from 1865 to 1869. He had a brother called Robert Chambers. Robert Chambers owned a publishing company, and he published a book or his company published a book called the Chambers Dictionary. If any of you play Scrabble, the Chambers Dictionary, I believe, is the book that you refer to make sure your words are okay. And that's the National Museum right across there, the National Museum of Scotland. Don't be put off by the word Scotland there. There's over 8,000 things to see in there from all over the world. This is Sunday. If we dropped you off just now, we'd come back and pick you up maybe Friday. And by that time, you might have seen everything inside that building. Absolutely amazing, stunning. And the Millennium Clock's in there. It's a clock, the height of that building there. Absolutely fantastic to see that. A thing that's very popular with school children when they're on visit for teachers and things like that, I don't know why, but it's a thing called the Maiden. It's a portable guillotine. Maybe they imagine a teacher on the guillotine, I don't know, but it's very, very popular seemingly. But its most famous exhibit in there, of course, is Dolly the sheep. You'll have heard of Dolly the sheep, the first ever cloned animal in the world. She was cloned out here, or she was born in Roslin Institute on the south side of Edinburgh there in 1996. Dolly the sheep actually had 6 lambs. Her first one was called Bonnie, and then she had twins called Rosie and Sally. I believe whoever named them must be Coronation Street fans. Rosie and Sally Webster. Not that I ever watched it, of course, you understand. And then she had triplets. She had triplets called Lucy, Darcy and Cotton. That was her 3 triplets. So she had 6 children. Unfortunately, Dolly herself died in 2003. We're now on South Bridge here, another bridge going across, and again it's going across the Cowgate, looking down left and right. In a minute you can see, as I said, the Cowgate. Now the Cowgate, that there is the second oldest street in Edinburgh. And that's the street that the farmers and drovers would bring their produce up to sell at the grass market. So this is South Bridge. It was built in 1865. It was opened to foot pedestrians and foot traffic, 1866, and to ordinary traffic in 1869. It's hard to imagine now, looking at this street here, but at one time, this was the place to shop in Edinburgh. This was the high-class place to shop in Edinburgh. As I mentioned at the beginning of the tour, when Edinburgh's new town was built, totally residential. No shopping there at all. This was the main shopping area of Edinburgh, this street right here. And as you can see, I'm afraid, over the years, it's went very, very much downhill. But I remember coming in the 60s and that, and you know, all the big department stores and everything, J&R Allen, C&A's and things like that, C&R Allen's and that. The big shop here, Patrick Thompson, that was the sort of main one there. That was an amazing experience to go in there because it was old-fashioned, the old school shop. You know, you went in there, you paid your money, they didn't give you your change or a receipt. They put in a thing called a little pod, and they put it into a tube, and that tube would disappear, or the pod would disappear, and somewhere inside the shop, and eventually it would come back again with your change and a written receipt and everything in there. It was quite amazing to watch. It was quite interesting and fascinating as a 5 and 6 year old kid to go and see that. So now we've rejoined the Royal Mile. There's a stop coming up shortly, and the stop is for John Knox House. That's the building straight in front. You get off here? People coming down, Alec, thank you. This is the building here in front of us with the wee the wee white shaped paned windows there. That is John Knox House. That's actually a museum now. See you later, guys. Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.
That's been a museum since 1853. It's one of the few museums here in Scotland that you do have to pay an entry fee. Most of the museums in Scotland are free to enter. There are some, you know, sort of semi-private ones or unique ones that you do pay a fee for. And this is one of them. But it is well, even at that, it is well worth a visit. As I said, it's called John Knox House because of John Knox, of course, the Protestant reformer. He lived here in Edinburgh, born in Haddington, but he lived in Edinburgh. And he was the Protestant preacher, man. You know, a very, very fire and brimstone type thing. He was a staunch Protestant, arch enemy of Mary Queen of Scots, of course. She was very, very strong Catholic. She actually left Scotland in just before 1650. She went across to France to marry the Dauphin. Unfortunately, he died about 2 years after he got married. A very, very young man. He got an ear infection. It went to his brain and it killed him. She came back a widow, a very 18-year-old widow. She came back here, and she was a Catholic when she came back. She came back to a Protestant country. And the time she'd been away, Scotland had become a Protestant country, and that was due to the work mainly of John Knox. Also, an Act of Parliament was passed changing the religion of the country. Technically, that Act of Parliament was illegal. And he's an Act of Parliament, he's the signature of a monarch, but she wasn't here, she was in France. But anyway, she came back just after 1650. She came back here to Scotland, and she was quite well received here. She was given the keys of the city of Edinburgh, and she's then resided in Holyrood Palace. And the deal was she could carry out her Catholic religion as long as she practiced it in private. And the people of Scotland, of course, were Protestant, and as long as they sort of backed her publicly, the status quo, they just left it at that. So now we're leaving what was the original old city of Edinburgh. This was the boundary here. The Flod Wall went along here with the Netherbow Port. That was the way of entering and leaving Edinburgh. So we have now left the old city of Edinburgh. We've entered what's called the borough of Canongate. There's two ways of spelling Canongate. I can give you I'll show you both examples. Coming up on your right hand side after the arches is a pub, and that pub is called the Cannons Gate. And that's written a little bit differently. There it's right there, but if you keep looking to your right, you'll see the modern way now, Canongate, all one word. And it means the same thing, the walk of the monks. Monks walking from the Holyrood Abbey to the High Kirk of Edinburgh. The building here on your right hand side, that's the Teacher Training College, part of Edinburgh University. J.K. Rowling, that's the school she attended, training to be a French teacher until she started writing that book about a wee boy with glasses, and that was the end of the teaching. We've got a couple of small museums coming up, one on your left hand side, the People's Story, telling you about the people of Edinburgh, Museum of Edinburgh, telling you about the history of Edinburgh. Both lovely museums and both free to enter. Let's stop here, it's the Canongate Kirk, and there's the Canongate Kirk right there. Have a look at the top of the building there, you'll see our royal coat of arms up there. And that tells you that's our royal church. That's the church when the royal family are in residence at the palace. If they're here on a Sunday, they attend that church to go to Sunday morning services. The monarch of this country is the head of the Church of England, but no jurisdiction in Scotland, but he does attend that building there. It was the scene of a royal wedding. Princess Anne's daughter, Zara Phillips, she got married in there on July the 30th in 2011 to a man called Mike Tyndall. He was an English international rugby player, and they got married in there in 2011. Robert Ferguson, I know if you look back, there's a wee statue just outside the building there, and Robert Ferguson's buried in there. You might not have heard of Robert Ferguson, but basically you could almost say without Robert Ferguson there'd be no Rabbie Burns, because it is said that Robert Ferguson was his inspiration, Rabbie Burns' inspiration. He unfortunately died in the Bedlam lunatic asylum at the age of 24. Robert Ferguson I'm talking about. He died there, and he's buried in that cemetery there. He died penniless, of course. He was in the lunatic asylum, died penniless. And it said that Rabbie Burns, when he found out he was buried in there, he paid for his headstone to be installed in that cemetery there. There's a man, I can't remember his name, Adams, he wrote it'll come back to me. Now it's gone. The guy that wrote the Wealth of Nations, he's buried in that.
Adam Smith.
Sorry, I knew it was that. Sorry, thanks very much, pal. Adam Smith. He wrote a book called Wealth of Nations. Never been out of print since it was published. It took him 10 years to write the book. He started in 1766. It was published in 1776. What I can't understand is they say that Margaret Thatcher, our Lady Prime Minister, she used to carry a copy of that book in her handbag. The book took 10 years to write, and yet she carried a copy of it in her handbag. It must have been a tiny copy, a book that size. Anyway, that was Adam Smith. He's buried in that graveyard. Hello, can I help you?
Is this just for Holyrood?
Yeah, Holyrood, yeah. You getting off here?
Yeah.
People coming down, please, Alan. Thank you.
That's Holyrood. Yeah.
How do you know?
Have a great day.
Oh, you too. How do you know that's Holyrood?
Oh, I came from there to the tour.
What a job.
No. Oh, sorry. Yeah, I spent almost like 3 hours there, then I came for this tour.
All right. Did you go into the palace?
Yeah.
What did you think of it?
That was awesome.
Stunning. Yeah, is it stunning? People ask me kind of, if it take me to do one thing in Edinburgh, what do I do? Go to the palace.
Yeah.
The castle's okay if you like military. Yeah. If you want history, you go there. It's just, you walk in there and you just think all the stuff that happened in there and all the draw paint. It's a stunning place.
£22.
Stunning place to visit.
£22.
Is that what it is? 22?
Yeah.
Wow. Well, we went for free. You know, part of our training, we went there for free.
No, okay.
But even it's worth £22.
Yeah.
I would definitely say it's worth £22.
Yeah.
But it's went up. It was only about 18 or 19 last year, you know. Okay. So right in front of us, guys, that's Holyrood Palace and I fucked up there. Holyrood. It's Holyrood Palace and Holyrood Abbey. You know, even I make mistakes. I mean, it was
You wouldn't know.
1963, I said the Beatles, they'll never make it. Bands are on the way out, you know. Anyway, that's Holyrood Palace and Abbey. The Abbey goes back to 1128, built by King David. Attached to the Abbey was a small guest house, and that guest house grew bigger and bigger and bigger, until eventually it became Holyrood Palace. And James V married Henry VIII's daughter, Margaret Tudor. He presented her with that palace as a wedding present. Take note, young man. He presented her with a palace as a wedding present. She's not listening, you're okay. No, just carry on. We were talking amongst ourselves. So and that formed what was called the Union of the Thistle and the Rose. The Queen's Garden, unfortunately, is closed just now. I think they're either refurbishing it or they're actually restocking it. That's a little museum. You've got to pay for that one. That is, the late Queen. All the tours she went on, all her reign and everything. She went on all these different tours all over the world, and they gave her presents and gifts and everything. And they were brought back here, and every so often they put them on display there. They change the display every so often. That's the obligatory gift shop, of course. And then this building here, that's the old stables of the palace there. That is now a tea room, coffee house. If you go in there and get yourself a cup of coffee or tea, show your tour bus ticket, and they will give you a free piece of shortbread biscuit in the shape of a crown. And it's not your cheap stuff, it's Walker's. Okay? And in the courtyard there, that fountain, you see there, that fountain? When there's water flowing through that fountain, it means that a member of the royal family is in residence at the palace. No water, nobody's staying there. It's a copy of the fountain that you'll see at Linlithgow Palace in West Lothian. And that's when Mary Queen of Scots was born on the 8th of December, 1542. We now enter the park here. This park has had several names over the year. King's Park, Queen's Park, Royal Park, Holyrood Park. We now tend to call it the People's Park because it was given back to the people of Edinburgh by Her late Majesty for the millennium, and we just call it the People's Park. 650 acres of greenery right here in the centre of the town. A city, I should say. In 2013, it was granted a scheduled monument. Please don't ask me what that means because I do not know, but it is a scheduled monument. Salisbury Crags up there, 151 feet high. Salisbury Crags, may call them cliffs. Here in Scotland, we call these things crags. Salisbury Crags. This area here at one time was all owned by brewing companies. Brewing was a large thing here in Scotland back in the day. In Edinburgh, I think we've got 2 left, if that. 1 definitely, maybe 2. But anyway, this land at one time that we're going into now, it's on the right hand side here. This was all owned by Scottish and Newcastle breweries. And they said they would donate this land to the people of Edinburgh on 2 conditions. The first one was to build a visitor attraction. We ticked that box. The second one, a millennium project. We ticked that as well. And we built what you can see right now. That is what we call dynamic earth. Beautiful view that, right in front of the crags and everything. That's dynamic earth. It's a geological museum. The only one of its kind in the UK. It tells the story of the earth from the Big Bang up to the modern day. You go in here, you go into a time machine and it takes you way back to the start of the earth, basically, the Big Bang, and brings you up to the modern day. Lots of buttons to press, things to try, wee experiments and that. Absolutely wonderful place to visit. They're actually refurbishing at the moment, so it is actually closed. I don't know when it's going to open, hopefully it'll be very, very soon. It's a very, very popular attraction. People think it's just a kids thing, but trust me, it's actually better than that. It's very, very good. All these pillars are rock, stonework and that you can see around there and others. That shows you there all the different parts of Scotland where they've taken the rocks from and that. That's what all these granite sculptures and that are all from. All parts of stonework from different sections of Scotland over the years and that sort of stuff. So while we're here, we can look straight ahead and we can see another wonderful, beautiful building, our Scottish Parliament. Isn't it a beauty, eh? In 1997 we held a referendum here in Scotland and do you want to devolve Parliament? The vote was yes, so then we held a competition, because we love competitions here, and a man called Enrique Marias, he came from Catalonia in Spain, and he won the competition to design our new Parliament building, and this is what we got. It's a weird looking building, eh? There was a story going around, I tend to believe it because it sounds so strange. I do tend to believe it. It said that when he presented his plans for the building, he didn't get out blueprints and papers and plans and all that. Seemingly he went into his pocket and he pulled out a handful of sticks and stones and earth. He planked them on the council chamber's table and he just said, this is my vision for this building. Something growing out of the earth. And this is what we've got. He unfortunately died before it was finished. His wife was also an architect and she carried on and finished off the project. You see the windows there, they've got some strange shapes around them. We usually ask people on the bus if they know what those shapes could possibly be.
Hammers.
Hands.
Hammers.
Huh? That's one of the classic guesses. Hammers or drills. Elvis Presley's sideburns. They're actually meant to be curtains. Curtains that have been pulled back to show that we have transparency in our government, if you can believe that. Very, very controversial building. I'll come back to it in a couple of minutes' time. Very, very controversial. We call it the Marmite building. If you're from Australia, the Vegemite building, you either hate it or love it. There's nothing in between. That building there, I expect a young couple to know this company. That's the headquarters of Rockstar North. You heard of Rockstar North? Really? You heard of Grand Theft Auto? Red Dead Redemption. That's the company that made them. Rockstar North. They come from Dundee. Two young boys from Dundee decided to come to in 1987, and that is now the headquarters of that company.
Is it a Scottish company?
Yeah, absolutely, sir. Absolutely. If they're not the most successful road business-wise in Scotland, I'd like to know what is. They're absolutely. It's huge. Red Dead Grand Theft Auto is huge. You know, but it's two young boys from Dundee in Scotland actually started off that company. People are very surprised when we say that. Tell them, you know, I don't understand why. Because here in Scotland, don't invent everything. Yeah, I mean, the telephone, you know, mad tyres, the tyres on this bus, yeah, the tar on the road. Just invent everything. Fingerprints, the test tubes, you know, syringes, all that sort of stuff. So we're now back heading towards the palace again. Just while we have a look ahead, straight ahead, you'll see a couple of columns there. On the left-hand side at the top of it, the Lion of England. On the right-hand side, the Unicorn of Scotland. Once you get closer, have a look at the unicorn. He's got some chains around his chest. Have a real good look. You'll see one of the links are broken. That's to show that we're still that wild animal up here in Scotland. You can never quite tame us. The water features on your left-hand side there represent the lochs of Scotland. They are kept at swimming pool condition. Don't know the temperature, but it's swimming pool condition. Come down here in the summer, the kids and everything, dogs and everything all jumping. Absolutely brilliant to watch. The wooden poles you can see represent the forests of Scotland. And the little benches there in shapes of boats, the fishing industry of Scotland, and what's left of it. So that's our Parliament building, like I said, very, very controversial. People either love it or hate it. Now, wee question for you. You didn't do very well in the curtains. Here's another one. The original budget for that building, 40 million, 40. What do you think it cost? How much?
400.
Yeah, guys, you're almost right. £414 million, over 10 times the original budget. That's what that building cost. Unbelievable. I mean, to be fair to the building, inside they've got a chamber, a debating chamber. It's said to be the largest in Europe. Somebody told me that the one in Berlin might be bigger. I'm not 100% sure, but that is said to be the largest, and it's stunning. To be fair, it is absolutely stunning. You can go on a tour in there, a free tour. You go in there, there's people, guys who'll take you around and tell you all the stories and answer all your questions. That I don't know if they answer the question about the money. I don't know if they answer that or not. I'm dying to go in there one day and say to myself, how much did this cost? You know, I want to know what they'll say in that. But as I say, as a building, it's very, very controversial. Very. Stop here. Sorry, I should have mentioned it, but I have a stop here. Obviously, you're staying on. Now, this house across here, there's nothing special. I mean, you know, you can see that. There's nothing special about them. They're what we call social housing or council housing. You know, ordinary people stay in these houses here. But if you happen to live there, you can honestly say that for 1 week of the year, the monarch of this country is your neighbour. Because for 1 week of the year, and it's usually the first week in July, it will be again, this was last year, the monarch of this country must reside in Holyrood Palace. It's in the British Constitution. The Queen done it every year when she was on the throne and everything. She came up here every year and held the royal garden party there in the first. And they do other official business and everything while they're up here. And that's why they stay in the palace here. But it's in the Constitution. If they don't, then they break the Constitution, technically. That'd be very interesting to find out what happened then, but I don't for a minute think that will happen. Charles, he came up here last year. He was a busy man last year, we know that. He didn't come up, he came up on the Tuesday. On the Wednesday he had his investiture at High Kirk of Edinburgh, and on the Thursday he was down in my part in Scotland, he was down in the Scottish borders, and then on Friday he went back down to London, so he didn't see quite the full week. But we gave him a bit of leeway because he had been a busy lad this last year now. Do you like Charles? Do you like Charles? Yeah, I'm the same. I think he earned it. Ken, he just see all that time just waiting, you know. I think he's earned his tick. My wife goes on, well, they should have jumped a red generation. I said, no, didn't want that William. I think, he's just soppy him. I don't like him, kid. I don't like him. Anyway, we're at the top of Abbey Mount here, Abbey Mount. Straight ahead of us is a road called Easter Road. Now back in 1600s, that used to be called Eastern. Easter with an N on the end of it, Eastern Road. And that was the road that would take you all the way, or bring you all the way back or down to the harbour of Leith. When the royal family arrived by boat back in those days, they used to arrive at Leith, of course, come all the way up Easter Road, down Abbey Mount here, and right into the palace. If you were to go down to the harbour of Leith now, that's where the Royal Yacht Britannia, it's still sitting down there to this day. And you can go and visit the Royal Yacht Britannia if you wish. So we're now on Regent Road, named after George III's son, because George III was known as Mad King George. He was mentally ill, he was very cruel, he was known as Mad King George, but he couldn't carry out his royal duties, so his son took over his duties as Prince Regent, and this is Regent Road. Arthur Seat, or Anna Seat, the height of Arrows, 823 feet high. You can actually climb Arthur Seat, it's quite easy to climb. Take about an hour, average person take about an hour to climb Arthur Seat. Most of it's a path all the way up. So you get to the very, very top, there's a little rope thing you hold on and you just pull yourself up with that, and it's very, very easy. We've just wear the correct footwear, of course, if you do want to climb Arthur Seat. And on your right hand side there, that's Regent Terrace. Back in the 1970s, that was a private road at that time. Sean Connery wanted to buy a house there. The Housing Association said no. They refused them permission to buy a house there. They didn't want an actor. Same with all the paparazzi and everything that goes along with that. So Sean Connery was refused permission to buy a house in the city he was born. But he wasn't Sir Sean Connery then, he didn't have freedom of the city, he was just an actor. It might have made a large difference, you know, if he had been Sir Sean. So that's just pulled the buses so we can just have a nice look at the Arthur Seat, and you can see the palace and the abbey, and also dynamic earth there, Salisbury Crags. The building on your right hand side here, the start of this building here, it's an absolute scandal. I really mean it's a scandal what's happened to this building. A disgrace. That building has lain empty since 1968. Beautiful building. Look at the Greek pillars and everything. It's a beautiful building. But it's lain empty since 1968. It used to be the old Royal High School. Very, very posh school here in Edinburgh. Lots of people, Walter Scott went there, David Hume, loads of people. Ronnie Corbett, the wee comedian, he went to that school as well, you know. But anyway, it's a very, very famous school here in Edinburgh. They moved in 1968. They moved out to a place called Barnton on the northwest side of Edinburgh. Very nice area, very posh, very select. J. Carroll, and that's where she lives. And they moved out there in 1968. And that building has lain empty ever since. Just lain empty, just went to ruin, unfortunately. A chain of hotels, no surprise, they wanted to build another 5-star hotel there. They applied on 4 or 5 different occasions. On every time they were rejected, their plans were rejected. They were horrendous, absolutely horrible. Thankfully they were rejected. About this time last year, it was announced, maybe about March last year, it was announced that St Mary's Music School were going to take on the project and they were going to turn it into the new St Mary's Music School. And that was going along fine until September last year, when obviously something happened and they must have discovered something that's going to cost a fortune. They pulled out of that project. So we're back to the stage we don't know what's going to happen to that building. Hopefully the chain of hotels won't come back in, because I think if they do, the council, they'll snatch their hand off and take it. It's a beautiful old building, absolutely stunning. There was talk about being the new Parliament building, there was talk of that there, but they, don't know much of it cost, but they thought, nah, we'll not bother. We'll spend 414 million on that ISO down the road here, rather than convert that beautiful building. Because across here on our left hand side coming up, the last thing I'm going to talk about, this building here, that's St Andrew's House. And that's part of the Parliament. This is the offices of the Scottish parliamentarians. This is their private offices. This is so-called work gets done in here. This building was actually opened on the 2nd of September 1939. That's the day after Second World War was declared. So it was a very small ceremony when they opened this building. But this is the offices of the Parliament, as I said. It's built above an old jail. The old Carlton jail is underneath that. Some people think it's very ironic. MSP is working in a building above a jail. Maybe they should be a few floors lower. Never know, that might happen. We never know. But that's how Scottish, as I say, that's St Andrew's House. Just as we stop, don't always get a chance. If you look straight ahead there in the graveyard, can you see the statue there? That is the first, but not the only, that's the first statue to the USA of Abraham Lincoln. A wonderful statue. That's there to commemorate the Scotsmen who fought on the Union side in the American Civil War. It's also an emancipation monument for the slavery movement that Abraham Lincoln has so much to do with. It's a beautiful, beautiful statue. If you've got 2 minutes, just snip up there and have a look at it. It's absolutely beautiful. We've now arrived at the end of the tour, guys. I know it's very, very small, but thanks very much for listening. It's terrific. It's great when people are listening and everything. It's really, really good. Hope you enjoyed it. There's no more buses now. Alec, is there another one, yeah? Oh, so you need to get off unless you like bus depots, you like garages. I did that one day when I used to drive these buses. I took a German couple back to the depot.
I've worked on for 45 years.
Sorry?
I was a bus driver for 45
Were
years.
you? Wow. I didn't stick it that long. So enjoy your time there, guys.
Thank you very much. We learned a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay. See you later, London. Okay.
Thank you.
See you, guys.